and this is the Open Booked podcast. Today we are talking about A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the second and last, right? It's only a duology in the Saga of the Unfated. Yeah. But first, what are you reading right now?
I am reading A Perfect Marriage for the second time. Spoiler alert, that's what we're covering next week. So doing a refresher for that to go into the Perfect Marriage, then Perfect Divorce, which we are super excited. Neither of us has read that one yet, right?
Yeah.
And I think everyone at this point probably knows we are Geneva Rose stans. So very, very excited about that. What about you?
Same. I finished up the first book in the Hawthorne Legacy series, which is, I already forgot what it was. The Inheritance Games.
Oh, Inheritance Games. I've seen that everywhere.
Yeah, by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And it's really good. It's very YA friendly. So my 12-year-old is reading it and he's got the whole series. So he's almost done with it. So I'm trying to get caught up. So we have something to talk about.
I love that. That's very cool. Bet if they would have had that when we were that age, to tore that up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we can tell them what we learned today about Teddy Hamilton. I'm gonna do a little humble brag here. Humble brag. I started listening to it and I texted Tisha and said, "Oh, I forgot that Teddy narrated The Perfect Marriage because I hadn't listened to it in probably 3 years." And then, 4 or 5 hours later, you texted and said, "Do you have a different version? Mine says this guy." And I said, "I swear he has to use that name too. You can't convince me that's not Teddy." And it was. So maybe I subconsciously knew that, or maybe I just recognized the voice. But either way, he's a great narrator. So it's always good when we have a book with him.
Yeah. Everybody loves Teddy Hamilton.
Yeah, man. And I love this book. And now that I know, how it ends. I've read it before. I'm picking up on some context clues and was like, oh, I should have figured it out last time. But I did not figure it out.
Yeah, so we'll have to talk about all of the context clues and the just kind of boldness of the female main character. Just wow.
She's a queen.
Yes. So I'm excited to talk about that next week.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, let's yap.
Yeah.
First and foremost, Tisha and I are still shook, and if any of you understand what actually happened, please give it to us in layman's terms. I deal with a lot of legalese for what I do for a living, and I do not understand this at all. Okay, the elephant in the room, Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. I feel like this is out of left field. We have been told this is a slam dunk for Justin Baldoni, and then all of a sudden the judge dismisses the case, and then apparently chews their ass, but then tells them to redo it in a different way. So I've seen a lot of conflicting stuff. Did they actually get their ass chewed? I know the case got dismissed. That's facts. Why? And why are they having to redo it? Was it just like a technical filing issue? And he's like, I can't do this. I have to redo it. Blake Lively's team is playing it off like she's out celebrating that night and like this is a big win for her. But on TikTok, I've seen like it's not. So I'm really confused. If someone could explain it, that would be great.
Yeah, from my understanding, because they didn't dismiss it with, I don't know which
prejudice.
I don't know which is good or bad, with or without, but it basically says that they can bring this case back with different details. So if they have extra stuff that they found in the last 9 months, then they can bring it to the table. But otherwise, it basically just goes away. Neither of them has to pay anything, and it's just done, except for their, I guess, legal fees, court fees. But it's just really sketchy, like out of nowhere. Because I understand the mental distress was dropped, but there's still a lot of like defamation and something of character and like all of this other stuff. So what are we missing?
That's what I want to know. What blackmail does Blake Lively have on the judge?
Exactly.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Who did she threaten or what does she know? That's the...
Exactly.
What pops into my head. But I'm sure more will come. I've heard nothing since that on that one day. Nothing. So I don't know if it's just, the looming World War III that has taken over my feed, but like I said, that's it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's get into some airplane drama. That's all we've talked about this year. At least every other episode, there's something.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen this on 2 different news outlets. I don't know if they're reliable, but the United Nations apparently said Russia, or found them guilty, or they admitted, or whatever, that a Malaysian Airlines flight that, literally went MIA, and the conspiracy theorists, we're in that community, we can say that, think that it's, in space, or, the theories are crazy. Maybe we could do a whole episode on what people thought happened to that plane. But the government apparently confirmed it was them. And to me, that would make sense that it would be like Russia, China, North Korea, because they would do it and then hide it, and then we would never hear anything about it at all. So that makes more sense to me that it's like a foreign government than probably any other theory. But like I said, I don't know how trustworthy that is, but I saw a couple videos about it.
That's been 11 years ago.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
Which we kind of talked about this the other day. Since COVID, I fully believe there was a whole timeline shift, and time does not move at the same rate that it used to.
No way.
I just found out that the Queen died in September 2022. And to me, that was last year, or maybe the year before. Definitely not 3 years ago.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
I still don't believe that. I feel like she died last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's the age. I'd wonder if young kids feel the same way. But I definitely feel like 2020 was yesterday. But then at the same time, it was a lifetime ago. I don't know.
It was. Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just thinking back, wearing a mask everywhere. How ridiculous.
And seeing people still driving around in their own vehicle by themselves with masks on just blows my mind. How can you be so gullible?
Yeah. They call themselves woke. I think you're asleep. Sorry. But no, people still do that. And I'm not talking poorly about the protests. I'm staying indifferent on this podcast. How many of them were wearing masks and goggles and all sorts of stuff? I'm like, what is going on?
I could see goggles because they can expect to be pepper sprayed or smoke bombed, but not fucking masks. Yeah.
Okay. We should probably move on before I get us canceled. Anyways, yeah, so if I hear anything else, we'll be sure to mention that, but apparently Russia did it. Shocker. Okay, this is interesting, guys. There was a plane crash, again, another plane issue, on June 12th. We're currently recording this on the 18th, so just a few days ago. It was a British Indian Airlines, one survivor, seat number 11A. In 1998, there was a different plane crash. It was a Thai crash. I don't know exactly where it crashed. He was sitting in the same fucking seat. So, lesson. If you're booking a flight, book seat 11A. And you get to pick. Yeah. Seat 11A is the safest seat on the plane, apparently. Both of these were the only people to survive.
That's wild.
Different airlines, different airplane types, different continents, 27 years apart. 11A was the lucky seat.
Jeez.
Yeah. Plane crashes just are so scary.
Yeah.
Whew. The experts are saying that doesn't translate to safety. Crash angle and all sorts of stuff matter. And I'm like, you can't convince the average Joe that. 11A it is.
Yeah.
Airline's going to be
charging $200. Two people survived in the same seat. That's got to be pretty safe.
I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Last bit of yapping. We're moving quick today. Tisha, do you want to talk about your terrible concert experience? Because I feel like we need to talk about it. Because it is viral on TikTok, and you should have taken videos. I saw videos with thousands and thousands and thousands of likes, pretty much saying the same shit that you said.
Yeah, I would have, but there wasn't anything to take footage of because we were literally in lot 14, which is at the very back and down a hill. And it was exactly 1 mile from where we parked to where we had to walk all the way up and then get to our spot in the lawn. So we went to Thunder Ridge Nature Arena to watch Post Malone and Jelly Roll, and can't remember who else was there, but sorry for those artists that it was not memorable. One, we got there a little bit late, so we missed part of the first set, and then because of the traffic, because gates opened at 6:30. Well, no, gates opened at 5. They had tailgating. Part of the Post Malone tour is they tailgate from 2 to whenever the gates open. So some people got there super early. So I fully expected to not have any traffic showing up. We got there like right at 6:30. And I was like, why have we just sat in 45 minutes of traffic? And like, it's starting. Gates have been open for a while. How the hell is this happening? So we get there, whatever. It was 45 minutes. Not terrible. Going to anything in Branson, you kind of expect it. Like if you've ever gone to Silver Dollar City, you fucking know.
Yeah.
Sitting in traffic forever just to get into the park. But didn't expect it at such a large venue. It can hold 18,000 people. But apparently only has parking for like 12 to 14. I'm like, yes, some people ride in cars together, but not that many. So get there, leave. Of course, we check the set list. There's 3 songs left. So we're like, okay, this should give us plenty of time to get out and beat most of the traffic. Like a third of the people had already left. Easily a third of the people like started leaving halfway through Post Malone. I'm like, I get it, but also you paid a lot of fucking money to be here. Why are you leaving so early? So
yeah,
we left and we get to our car and then we proceed to sit for 2.5 hours at the bottom of the hill in our car, just waiting. And there was state troopers and sheriff's department officers working traffic, and it was still that terrible. I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? This venue's been open for like 3 years. So there's no reason they shouldn't have this figured out by now. And the food in the thing, they have these little markets, lines out the wazoo. And Jeremy made friends with somebody, of course, in line. And they're like, this is the worst it's ever been. We've been to almost every show here, and never have we had to wait in line for bathrooms or food. And it's backed up down the hill to get food right now. I was like,
did they just oversell the concert like more than usual?
I don't know. Because like as we were walking out, we saw in the premium and VIP parking, which is like up near the front, cars were just like hodgepodge parked everywhere, blocking people in. Like they literally just shoved them wherever they could. People were turned away because they had tickets to the concert, but nowhere to park.
Yeah.
I would be fucking livid.
Yep. And they weren't issuing refunds. That's the TikTok before you had even texted me. I saw it was a group of girls that had had tickets, and they were getting there early for the tailgate. I think they were already in Branson, and they started heading that direction. I think like 4, I don't remember. They didn't even make it to the fucking show. They were stuck in traffic from the Branson side. I'm sure you probably came from a different direction, right?
Yeah.
There's only one way in, one way out, but you can come from like where her husband and I are from in Bearable, or you can come from like actual Branson. And the video I saw was like actual Branson, like stuck on like 65 is what it looked like, just based on, context clues. They didn't even get in the fucking concert. 4 hours of sitting in traffic, they turned around and left. They said we wouldn't even see the show at this point.
Yeah.
And they weren't issuing any refunds for anything like that. Here's the deal. Johnny Morris got a big deal. He does rodeos there. Morgan Wallen's been there. Garth Brooks has been there. Huge fucking concerts. I also heard horror stories about the Garth Brooks. That was the very first concert there. But I was told they got it figured out. They added a roundabout. Like, that was the story.
I feel like the roundabout made it worse because you go from 3 lanes down to 2, down to 1. So everybody's trying to merge. And it was a fucking nightmare.
Right. Yeah. I think they need
awful.
to make another way out. So that there's at least 2 exit options. That
If
would
not
probably
3.
cut it in half. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awful. And I don't know what genius was doing this, but they had, like, by the time we finally got out, every single other lot was empty. So they were emptying an entire lot. People that left an hour after us because there was an after party, people that left an hour after us got out onto the highway before we did because we were in the very last lot. They were going in numerical order and emptying each lot.
They should have, like, done a little bit from each lot, a little bit from each lot, like,
yeah,
merge.
Or just got out of the way and let us figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
I was just mind blown.
Yeah, no, people are pissed all over the internet. I saw one person post, like, I've been to 2 concerts here, and every time I post, I'm never going back, and I gave them a 3rd chance, and I'm really not coming back now. And I was like,
I know, and we have Cody Johnson tickets in August, which already was a bad idea because it's fucking August in the Midwest, and it's going to be 900 degrees, and we're going to die again.
Yep.
Luckily, it's a Saturday, so if we have to stay late, I don't fucking care because we don't have to get up early the next day. Mm-hmm. Not a super big deal. But if it's the same way, like, I'm really tempted to just sell my tickets.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if we end up going and it's the same way, I will absolutely not go back. Like, the venue itself is beautiful. The lawn setup is great. They have it more of a grid versus like the amp is just 3 little sections and that's it.
Yeah.
They at least have it sectioned off, like 9 sections, I think. And it's beautiful. Of course, like, you can see all of the trees, but that traffic is not worth it. And the tickets weren't cheap. Like,
no, they're not cheap tickets there either. You can't get a $30 lawn ticket there.
No.
The cheapest ones I've seen are $50 to sit in the grass, which we have tickets to Treaty Oak and Turnpike there. In September, it's Labor Day weekend.
I want to go to that so bad.
We have extra tickets for sure. We bought the maximum amount that 2 people could buy because we weren't sure who all was going to come with us. And then we were like, we'll just sell them if we have extra because they're big bands. People will want to go. But yeah, we for sure have extra tickets. We have literally 16 tickets. But anyways, I'm a little nervous now because that story, but I guess we'll see how your Kojo experience is.
Yeah, Hosier is there. It was supposed to be the Thursday before this Post Malone concert. I don't know what happened, if it was the venue or him, but it got moved back. Okay, so it got moved back to July 22nd, and I want to go so bad. It's a Thursday night, and I can't.
Say that artist's name again.
Hosier?
I'm so stupid.
Some people say Hosier.
That's what I was saying.
That's what I used to say, but I heard somebody say Hosier, so that's just what I've said since.
It sounds very French.
Yes.
That kind of reminds me of, SZA. I used to did we talk about this? I used to call her SZA because I thought since they were all capitalized, my vocabulary training kicked in that when things are all capitalized, you spell it out like it's an acronym. So I was calling her SZA, not SZA. When people kept saying SZA, I'm like, never heard of them.
I would not say her name for the longest time because I didn't know what to say. I was like, do you pronounce it? Do you not? What?
Okay, that makes me feel better. It's like a running joke at my work now. Oh, you mean SZA? It's fair assumption, guys. I just learned proper English. I'm sorry. Okay, any more yapping, or you want to get into this Viking book?
Did we talk about Diddy's surprise guest last week?
No, I don't know who it was. Who? Oh, Kanye?
Kanye. And then I saw
Wait, he's
yesterday.
Ye now, right?
Ye, yeah. I saw yesterday he is expected to return, and the way they worded it makes it seem like he's going to testify, but I don't think he is. I think he's just there. But a drug mule is supposed to testify, like tomorrow or Friday.
Oh, that'll be some tea. Is it that little kid they caught with him? Like the teenage? I say little kid. He was like a teenager.
I don't know. I just saw the headline, Ye and Drug Mule to return to court and testify. So I was like, okay.
Very interesting.
So we'll have more on that hopefully next week, if it is this week when they do that. So
okay, good stuff.
Ooh, a juror got dismissed too
because they thought they were too close or something. Yeah. That was earlier this week or late last week. Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, the Diddy drama.
Ugh.
Every day.
We'll be talking about this for years to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. See, ready to talk about the book?
Yep. Spoiler alert for both books in this duology. And I don't want any hate for pronunciation. Okay. I'm not Norwegian. Okay. The blurb. The secret of her divine heritage revealed, Freya finds herself on a path that will see thousands of lives lost to the magic in her blood. Desperate to avoid this dark fate, she risks an alliance with Scotland's greatest enemy to seek answers from the seer who foretold her future. The same seer who sent Bjorn to kill her. While Freya still seethes with rage over Bjorn's betrayal, the blood oaths that bind her demand that she keep him close as she hunts for a way to avert the looming war. Her magic draws her to the front lines of an old enemy. It's not enemy. Enmity.
Huh. I don't know
maybe
what that
it's
is.
A typo. Maybe a typo.
Maybe.
Embroiling her with Nordland's unfated children of the gods who served the king she was raised to fear. The same king who, unlike Bjorn, is now willing to fight at her back. For despite the desire that burns hot between Bjorn and Freya, his growing distrust of her chosen path threatens to drag them further apart. As war approaches, gods and mortals must choose their weapons, yet the fiercest battle will be the one Freya wages within herself. With the magic of two goddesses burning in her veins, she must weave the threads of destiny to decide her own fate. Will she be the shield that protects her people or the curse that destroys them? Why did I want to read the choose her own fate in the Merida from Brave accent? You know?
Yeah.
The Scottish accent.
Yeah.
That was a super long blurb, by the way.
It was. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, this feels like half the book.
Yeah. I just want to say, I think we were right about several things that we talked about last week. We could probably listen back and be like, yeah.
Probably.
But one thing I was wrong about was, you know who I'm talking about. I can't say their names.
Lean or Hell?
No, not the goddess's blood. We knew that. It's not Snorri. The other...
Snorri?
Yeah, Snorri.
Ilva?
The other king. The one that Bjorn called father but wasn't actually father.
Oh,
Harold's. That's not how it's pronounced, but it's spelled Harold.
Okay, yeah. It sounded kind of like Harold. It was Harold.
Yeah.
Harold. I don't know.
That, I will say, if we're talking about shocking moments here, that did surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of figured he wasn't good, but I didn't realize his level of deceit. The Child of Loki thing is funny because we talked about this last week. All of this just reminds me of Marvel and how Loki is a little shit and he likes to cause chaos and then change what he looks like and steal shit. And I'm just like, this is checking out.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool take on the Norse gods here.
Yeah. It did shock me that he was Saga.
That, yes. Because of how they were like girly pop talking, sipping wine. Yeah. I was like, what's the point of that? And him trying to get them back together? Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah. I was like, okay. And then when she finds out, she's like, me realizing that I sat naked in a sauna with this person.
Thinking it was my lover's
mother-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the way they just openly talk about threesomes with gods, just insane. Apparently, that was the thing back then. Yeah. They thought, I don't know. The Greek gods just actually had full-on relations to reproduce. Apparently, in Norse mythology, they had to join a couple who's already doing it to make children of their gods. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I think there was one that like thought they were just like blessed.
Yeah.
I was like, so that's an option too. Why don't they just do that?
Yeah. Apparently that's too easy.
Lame.
Lame. Can I just say, I'm just gonna be real. I don't like Freya. I think she acts like a feral barn cat. Stand her. She's just like so irrational, so emotional, so easy to anger. She puts her trust in the wrong people, makes stupid fucking decisions, doesn't think shit fuck through, and then always is getting kidnapped. She's like Daphne from Scooby-Doo.
And then once she killed people and found out that Saga was Loki and she like it was just her and what's his face, they're like, fuck everybody else, let's fuck. I was like, how quickly she goes from hating him to let's just do it forever. I was like, okay.
Yeah, like they're literally trapped in this bubble. They're about to die. They're freezing to death. The thought is, let's just get naked and fuck right now. Even though I hate you, and I've been mad at you, and I told you I hoped you die. I literally tried to kill you. And since we're trapped here together, I just don't want to die without having sex with you. Is that the thought?
That's how I took it.
Made no sense to me. And this just solidifies to me, this is off topic a little bit, I don't think she's Danny Francis. I will die on this hill. It's somebody else.
Yeah, it has to be.
Maybe Danny Francis is just somebody else and is actually Danny Francis. Great writer right off the butt to have such a phenomenal novel, but this solidified it for me. The whole reason we started this adventure was to see if this was Danny Francis, and I think we found our answer. 'Tis not.
No. Yeah, no chance.
Okay, were you surprised that Snorri was actually good? I thought he was a dick, but I guess Viking times, they're all kind of asshole dicks.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little surprised just because we were so well convinced that Saga and Harold and whatever were like the good guys and they were going to do all the good things, and then that was not the case.
Yeah. You know what surprised me more than anything was, he had these people around him, these unfaded, that he like saved from these situations and had their undying loyalty. At the end, when the singer flipped and showed all the versions of how he put them in that situation, because his time of being a sneakster made him realize you have to like save someone for their loyalty. So he would kill the parents, kill the family, as whatever, to cause that to get their loyalty. I felt that was really deep, and I didn't expect that level of like treachery. I thought, the masking, pretending to be the other king, pretending to be his mom. I was surprised. But then to find out that even every single person in his like cadre, or for lack of a better, sorry, Jesse's reading Throne of Glass, so cadre popped into my head, was like was all manipulated to be there. He's like level 10,000 manipulator.
Yeah.
Insane. Which I guess Loki that's his MO. So
yeah.
The song. Did you expect her to turn? I didn't think she would, because she's a bitch.
Yeah. And she said multiple times that like the people have to see this way basically to achieve what we want to achieve. I was like, so really you're not showing people what's real. Like we kind of already knew that, but you're just showing them whatever you want them to see, and that makes you real shitty.
Yeah, for sure. Also, we need to go back to the circle fuck, because I forgot to mention that Bjorn had just found out that his mom, who he thought was alive, was actually dead. His dad, who he thought was a piece of shit that he just got manipulated into killing, he just killed. And his person he thought was his father is a manipulating piece of shit. All of that happened in a matter of 5 minutes. And then they get trapped Also, like, why the fuck would they trap him and not just kill him? Like,
That's what I said. I was like, that
yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Unless you want them to get out and you want them to save the day yet again. Like, I think it really could have ended there and they could have all just died rather than dragging it out.
I agree. I think she had a number of pages she had to hit with her
Yeah, a
contract or
word
something.
count or something.
Word count, yeah. Because I will say right there, definitely could have ended, but I think she wanted this climactic reunion between Bjorn and Freya. Thought, oh, let's trap them and have a one room, one bed situation, forced proximity trope. Here we're gonna throw in. We've already done the enemies to lovers things, not once but twice. Let's just throw in a forced proximity as well. Check off all the tropes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was interesting. Also, what did you think about her like going down to Helheim or whatever, getting all these resurrecting all these motherfuckers?
I thought
That are
that was
all
kind of
like,
cool.
I thought that was kind of cool. I pictured the people from Davy Jones's ship in Pirates of the Caribbean.
I pictured Hercules.
No, but she talks about their faces rotting off and them being like half dead and stinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Yeah, but like the fact that she was able to do that with her brother, who, we talked about that last episode, he was like a selfish piece of shit, but she got her closure, I guess.
Yeah,
and he got what he deserved, in my opinion.
Very much. Yeah.
Also, it's interesting that Odin wanted to take her to Valhalla and not to Helheim, even though she's a daughter of Heln or whatever, so she should go to Helheim. Thought that was interesting, but she decided, nah. Also, how the real Saga came and like saved the day versus her old lover, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. I was like, retribution.
Yeah. Good riddance. Anything else you want to add here? I feel like we hit all the big reveals.
Yeah, not really. I was not a fan. I had to like force myself to pay attention. Like the first one kind of kept it interesting enough to keep going, but this one was just like so sporadic and all over the place and up and down and people are dead and then they're not, and I was just like, what is the point?
Yeah. I will say this too. I feel like I realized something this week. My mood from the book that I just read matters a lot with the book I'm going into. And I think it's very unfortunate for this series that I went into it after Shield of Sparrows.
Yeah.
And that is just the truth of it. I loved Shield of Sparrows. It's probably a top 5 book for me. And it just is really unfortunate for this. It also could have been the language. Not that I'm a hater. I love all mythology, history, all of that stuff. I'm just not nearly as familiar with it. So I had a really hard time with the names, the mythology, all of that stuff. And I think that made the plot suffer from my point of view.
Yeah, I can agree with that 100% because I did at times catch myself like, do I just go back and reread Shield of Sparrows to like, try and get out of this? Because I was like, nothing can really compare. And then my brain was trying to put details from Shield of Sparrows into it. And I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, no.
Honestly, Book Talk did not disappoint with Shield of Sparrows and Silver Elite. We read those back-to-back Book Talk recommendations right before this. I definitely preferred Shield of Sparrows. Not that Silver Elite wasn't a great book in itself, but it's kind of like one of those books, and you guys listening to this know, there are certain books that you just find yourself going, damn, that was a good book. Like, I've read 100 books since that book, but that was a good fucking book. And they stand out, and that's not these for me. Not that they're not great and successful author and awesome, they're just not, they're not it for me.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, I told Lauren, I was like, I am really over fantasy right now. Like I'm burnt out. And even kind of just the romance genre. That's why we're doing more of a thriller or mystery for the next couple of weeks, just to kind of try and get out of that slump. Because one, like we've discussed in the last couple episodes, we don't cover a ton of other genres just because romantasy is really popular right now. There's a lot of books coming out, and we're just trying to somewhat follow the trend. But yeah, I am very ready to be away from romantasy, fantasy, all of it for just a little bit.
Yeah. I think the 8 weeks of Throne of Glass, and then we went into like one, was it romance? Or yeah, we did the new um Emily
Great Big
Henry
Beautiful
book.
Life.
Yeah, we did the new Emily Henry book, and then we went right back into 2 book talk romantasies, and then right into Viking TikTok romantasies. And so, yeah, we're going to cover couple thrillers. If we're feeling good, we may pop back in. We have another series we talked about covering that is romantasy, very much on book talk. If not, maybe we'll throw in some more mysteries, thrillers. We like all sorts of stuff. So if you have Rex, send them our way. We love a good shocker, surprise, something we can't predict. So
yeah, like the one we're doing next week. Definitely a 5-star read. So
yeah. If you haven't read The Perfect, I was gonna say, if you haven't read The Perfect Marriage and you're listening to this right now, go read it before we release our episode, because you're gonna want. It's one of those books that sticks with you. I read it my first year I got back into reading. I can remember my exact place when I finished the book vividly in my mind, where I was, what I was doing, because it's one of those books. It just, Geneva Rose is a queen. We can't stand her enough. And her little twirls and secretly signing books. You have to follow her on TikTok to get that. Yeah, no, definitely go read it. Study up. We'll dive in next week. But very excited to get into some thriller.
Yeah. Geneva's, the first book I read of hers was One of Us is Dead.
Oh, dude, I remember where I was when I finished that one too.
Is it One of Us is Dead or One of Us is Lying?
One of Us is dead. I know who's dead.
It's so many POVs, and I was like, what's happening? But it was probably midway through. I was like, God, this is so fucking good. And I think I told you, I was like, you have to read this.
Yeah, I read it like the next day because it was on Everand. All of Geneva Rose's, when Tisha and I got hot and heavy in this shit, all of Geneva Rose's books were on Everand, and we tore that shit up along with Jennifer Hillier.
Yes.
Oh, Jar of Hearts, dude.
Oh my God, we need to do that.
We need to do that next. Okay. That book. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pumped about thrillers. We're back in it, y'all.
Yeah.
Our hearts are in it.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this week. As we said, tune in next week. If you haven't read it already, definitely read The Perfect Marriage, and then you can follow it up with The Perfect Divorce the next week. But, we forgot to mention, I updated our website and we have merch now, and I'm going to try to get more stuff up this weekend, maybe. But we've got t-shirts, we've got hats. My favorite is a golf, which is like the trendy hat style right now, that says "Well the fuck aware," but it's like split, so you can't really tell that it says "Well the fuck aware," but if you know, you know. So
if you know, you know. Yes. #Shadow Daddy. Yep.
Yeah, so go check that out, and leave us some recommendations of books that we can do to kind of move past the slump, which, I mean, we already said these next probably 3 books will help a ton. They'll probably do it for us, but yeah, so we will cover those the next couple weeks, and I think that's it. So we will talk to you guys later.
Bye.